Hey everyone. So I am doing a quick little improv live. Not really improv, Paul and I. Paul's here. And Leanne's here with us. And I've been really looking forward to getting together with Paul and chatting about paper and paper types and how you know the difference and how to choose your paper types. I'm just gonna rotate. You can't rotate while recording. Okay. Thanks, Facebook. So I'm just gonna set this up. Hi, who's on? Who's here?
We're here.
We are here, and we are all that matter.
We matter right now. Have you shown them the space?
No, I haven't.
So,
okay.
So this is the Establishment Studios here in Paran.
Yes.
And you can totally book this place out for a shoot. It is just killer. And just do a spin so that the crew can see.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah. This is going to blow you away. So this is the wall of chairs
that you can have your client sit in.
Yeah. And these are all furniture in the foreground, which all can be rented.
Right? Look, oh my God. Yeah. Oh, hi, Peter.
And they're all colour match.
So, yeah, it's quite, look at, all the fabrics, chandeliers. This place is phenomenal. Look at that couch. I don't even care that it has duct tape on it. It's awesome.
That's what it's for.
Right? So, yeah, it's a pretty spectacular space. So this is all of the little knickknacks and doohickeys.
Yeah, to style in your shoots if you're doing a style shoot.
So then you've got all of your fabrics and stuff here.
I thought it would be for a workshop in here.
What? Workshop? Anyone want to do a work? And then they have all these like little secret passageways that I'm too afraid to go in. But yeah, beautiful, nice, white light. Gorgeous, gorgeous space. So, and I'm gonna take you guys into the showroom area.
Cool.
Oh.
Yeah, because we've rented the front space out so we can show our gear off.
Are we being naughty?
We're being naughty here, but they're so lovely, and we did a plug for them, okay? So everybody has to come and use this place.
Yes.
And yeah, you can rent it for the day, half day, I believe.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I might see about doing a workshop here. That'd
It
be
is
awesome.
a beautiful space. It's fun. Yeah. It's
So,
really special.
Paul, I wanted to chat about paper types. So I'm just going to flip this around and show you guys. This is the gorgeous, I'm going to...
Yeah, that's
there
it.
we go.
If I stand there to look at my stomach and say, I've got to neutralise that.
So this is the beautiful Kath V's work. She is a Melbourne-based photographer.
She is cool.
She's very awesome. And normally I don't like the glare, but I'm glad that this glare is here because I want you to be able to see. So this is a semi-gloss.
So this is a photographic luster. But you could call it a semi-gloss. Back in the day, though, in the photographic world, it was just called matte. You know, because that was all that was available. But it's got a coating on it that it resists fingerprints and so you know if you've got something that's going in little kids' hands and if you've got something that being passed around the old folks' home or something, it is so cool and it's the right kind of price too. It's our base pricing for it.
Yeah.
Lovely stable product, and the nice thing is it's really durable, so it's great in people's hands, okay?
Perfect. So I think this is typically anytime you order from a lab, this is like the standard.
This is your photo paper.
Yeah.
It's actually exposed. It's light sensitive paper. It's exposed in the dark, and it's processed through chemistry. So you know it's a traditional photographic print.
Now this is a gloss.
So that's the gloss version, and it's the same everything, but a really glossy surface.
And you can see kind of the difference.
Yeah, totally. See how much more reflective it is.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice modelling. Great job. And this is the crazy metallic.
Yeah.
Which is the crazy cousin of the gloss. So the metallic is super reflective. It actually has another layer of silver in it because this is all being wet process photography, traditional light sensitive. It's got silver in it, but this has got an extra layer that creates this sort of crackers effect. And as you move it around, it goes both darker and lighter than regular gloss.
It's quite phenomenal how all of that works. So I'm going to come back to these individually. So now we're starting to get into the matte paper.
So this is a different one. This is like a middle of the range product. This is called a matte art paper. So this is our paper that's a little bit dearer than traditional photographic paper, but it has a really smooth, and I don't know if you can see it, but a real matte-like finish, like a real art paper finish. But the cool thing about it is it's like a good everyday paper that you can order 6x4s in, you can order 10x8s in. It's a good regular product. There's nothing sort of extra fancy about it. Okay?
Yes.
Nice prop.
Nice setup. I'm using my flash. Leanne seeing firsthand the behind the scenes of the live.
Yeah, it's got a big smile.
And then, so this is, you see the matte art has no reflection at all. What is this one, Paul?
So this is a fiber pearl, which some people call it a Baryta paper, Baryta, but it's a fine art product. It's a smooth cotton pulped paper printed with special pigment inks. It's like the ultimate fine art. And in fact, we got two more, which are variations of this cotton-based fine art printing. So it's a step up from this. And these get a bit pricey, but they're the perfect things for the framed wall prints, for the stuff that you're entering competitions, the stuff that, means everything. So this is a textured version of it. Can we see the texture at all?
I'll take some pictures.
Yeah,
I've got my camera here. I'll take some pictures.
But these guys are going to get some samples, aren't they? We're going to do some... Yeah. Cool.
Yes.
Cool. So there's a textured version. Maybe the back of it might show it to you. We're struggling with it a little bit.
Yeah.
And there's the smooth cotton, which the smooth cotton we use that a lot. And our top-of-the-range albums are printed in that. These aren't the kind of things, whether it be the fine art fibre pearl, the textured or the smooth cotton, these are not the sort of things you can just order 6x4s in.
No.
Well, you can, but you end up going, I have no money left. So they are expensive, but they're the top of the range. And just to give you a difference, these other ones here, which we looked at, I won't pick them all up, the photographic paper, the matte art, these are all printed with dye inks. So what's the difference? Pigment versus dye. Dye is a liquid. It's I know it sounds awfully logical, but it's a liquid, and it penetrates into paper quite nicely, and in the photographic papers it actually lives right inside the emulsion. If we did a cross-section under a microscope, you'd see the dyes really built inside it. Whereas pigment is actually a solid. It's a little solid little particle that's encapsulated in a little bubble of liquid, and that solid particle, it can't penetrate into the paper. It kind of always sits on the surface. That creates this look like you're just looking straight at the ink, basically. It's not getting soaked and bled into the paper. It's right there on the surface. It makes it really delicate, but it gives it a lot of punch. But being a solid as well, ultraviolet light and UV light that's coming in that sort of gives us all skin cancer and everything, UV will kill prints quicker than anything. And this stuff is really resistant. So this is the sort of paper they go, 100 to 200 years, these prints will last. So that's because they're UV resistant. Whereas these here are dye-based and they don't have quite that. However, if you're going to be holding prints and handing them around to people, these are kind of crazy because they're really easily marked. So it's like what's the job? What job are you giving the print to do?
That's right.
And picking the right print for the right job.
Right, and that's where I kind of want to move into, but before we get there, can I ask, what is emulsion? What is halide?
Oh yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah?
Cool. So emulsion usually refers to anything that is sitting on top of something, like a surface. So in England, they call paint emulsion.
Right.
So that kind of helps you understand that connection. But if we go back to the silver halide paper, which... Right, this is the first one we looked at.
Right.
The photographic paper, and you will even notice on the back it says, Kodak paper, blah blah blah. So this has a really special emulsion, whereas the paper, like this fine art cotton smooth, has a very simple emulsion. All this emulsion needs to do is bond with the pigment ink. Okay? Mm-hmm. So it has the basic cotton rag paper, that's the bottom of it, and on top they float an emulsion that the ink will bond to. Right. The matte art, which is down in the middle here, this has its own emulsion as well to bond with the dye inks, and the emulsion is the surface that takes it. Whereas this photographic paper has got a really special emulsion. So if we split it open, there'll be layer upon layer upon layer. There'll be a basic layer which holds everything together, and then there would be 3 layers. In the next step, there'll be a cyan, magenta, yellow layer of emulsion, and inside there, they suspend in the emulsion, so it's like a gel that is solidified. So it's not a gel as in if I tip that it runs away. It's gone hard, the gel, but it starts off as a gel, and in it are these silver halide crystals. And the silver, now I told you this is light sensitive, you shine light to it and it changes. So we keep this paper in the dark until we're ready to develop it. So when it's in the dark, it can't be affected by light. But as soon as the light passes onto it, and you've got to do it in a special device, and this is how film works, by the way, guys. So if you're a film photographer,
which is
it's the same concept.
Wanted to mention it because it is so closely related.
So the emulsion is the light sensitive part. It receives the light and changes. So that silver, as soon as light hits it, it changes, and it's an effect that's not that dissimilar to, how your curtains fade because the light hits it. It just takes a long time to fade, whereas the effect that happens with silver halide is really, really quick. When you put it through the developer, so once we expose it, it's in the dark, it gets exposed with very controlled light, it goes into the developer. What happens is the silver reacts to the developer, and that reacts to the dyes that are inside the emulsion, and they bloom. They sort of spread. And those dyes, some dyes are set as cyan, some are magenta, and some as yellow dyes. They react to the light that's been shone on them, develop, bleach, fix, and then the print is washed and dried. And so I described there's a base, there's the 3 gel emulsions, there's another emulsion on the top which protects it, which means you can scratch at it and it's pretty safe. So the emulsion is really complicated on this paper and does a hell of a lot. And it holds those dyes, it holds the silver halide, it does all those magic tricks, whereas the emulsion on this, it's just got a bond with the ink.
That's right.
Which is why you can't just take everyday plain paper and stick it in your inkjet printer and get a result.
Right.
You need special papers for that to get those nice photographic results.
That's right.
So they all have a very special emulsion.
And different paper types are, and moving. I had you mention that because the emulsions on paper are so different according to paper and paper type. So knowing how that aspect of printing works is really going to help us determine what paper we're printing on.
Totally.
Right.
So paper has 2 roles. It has the role of holding the image and doing the right job by holding that. So as I said, if you've got a print that you're going to be handed around the nursing home with grandma and her friends, she's going to stick it on her wall, and then someone's going to take it down and all that kind of, on the fridge, then you want to pick a paper that will hold it, but will last the distance and still look good.
Right.
Because just selling this as something, and you don't want people returning it. So there's that purpose, but then the other purpose, which is a little trickier, is fashion. Mm-hmm. Like, who are you? Is Lacey a gloss person, or is she a matte person? And, deciding on the kind of the fashion that suits both your expression and what your clients are expecting is what you're going with. And like this shot of Cass on metallic,
it's incredible.
It's crackers beautiful, and this kid's got so much colour on it that this suits it. I don't know if Cass is a gloss person though, but if anyone sells acrylics and face mounts, they get called lumitiles by some people. That's a gloss thing, and you've got to be a gloss person for it to connect with you.
Right.
You don't really want a product range that has gloss and matte in it. You've got to be very unified in your own voice.
That's right.
But otherwise your marketing will be all muddled up, and the way you approach your clients, you've got to have a deep belief in whatever it is. Not so much a deep belief, but a deep love of something.
Yes. And we talk a lot about this in previous lives about your branding and offering only what you're going to sell that is specific to your branding. So, for example, I was saying previously while I was in Adelaide that I'm not going to sell a canvas. One, because it's not my branding, and two, because I just don't like how my work prints on it, because it sucks up all of that color. And so it's kind of the same thing with your paper types. Like you said, you're not going to have gloss and matte. You're typically going to choose one.
I mean, it doesn't stop you ever from doing it. If you have a client who's like, oh, I've got a super shiny kitchen and I want super shiny print, you're not saying no to that person, but what you're doing is you're not going forward in the world with your advertising, going, and we have this, and we have that. You just, you just need to be very singular with your marketing, and it will make your printing easier, because different papers react to images differently.
Yes.
So, in a simplistic way, you could say babies should be on soft materials. They're soft, so we should put them on soft, fluffy stuff.
Right.
But of course, Kath has just proven the exact opposite of that with that image. Right. So it's not a hard and fast rule, but you need to think about that, and you need to make those decisions, because if you go forward looking confused in your marketing, you won't attract people.
And you're not going to sell anything. You're not going to sell anything. So how do the different papers react with different color? So for example, I am a landscape photographer and I shoot lots of muddled forests and colors like that, neutral tones. Yep. What would be the best thing to print on? So
my feeling for that would be you would want to use something like a smooth cotton. If you were going for that sort of a misty, like the atmosphere is kind of, I'm thinking about ethereal? Like it's foggy, ethereal, then you might go with a textured paper, something that's going to break it up and add to that effect. However, if you're like, here's Uluru, and you've got the sunset and you've got all this power, a gloss is going to be really effective. And some of it is a part of the trick of the paper, in that it's about managing reflections. So with a matte paper, so for us to see this print, light has to bounce off of it, right? So if the light is coming in from a gloss, and it's coming, because glosses come straight back at you. Gloss looks sharper and punchier. It makes the colours look richer, just because of its smoothness. The texture is probably the best example. Because it's such a texture, it's shooting the light off at all these angles. So it's not coming right back at you. So it's got a softer, more muted feel.
Right.
So that's where that argument comes from.
Right.
Fashion, yes, but also fit for purpose and suitable. Frankly, if you're struggling, if you're really like, I don't know what to do, which is most of us in the world.
Yes.
Smooth cotton or matte is so reliable.
Yeah.
It's in the middle. It's not textured. It's not gloss. It feels nice. The only thing is it's a little dearer than the luster, and the luster was always the best-selling product. I mean, with mini labs back in the day, when you used to get your films developed and printed, gloss was really popular in the amateur world because things look sharper. Yeah. But in the pro world, this is the only thing we ever printed any real volume was luster. Yes. All the school photography is done this way, and so people are used to it. It feels like an old jumper. We know it. It's great. It's got a lovely feel to it. So, if you're really struggling, these smooths are great, but this is the right price, it's professional looking, and it might be your paper.
Yeah.
But going in there and trying one of everything, that will kill you. You'll never decide. So try and pick something and go with it at least for 6 months.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it after 6 months, find a new friend. Yep.
Yep. Perfect.
Does that help?
Yes, it does. Leanne, do you have any questions? No? I did want to mention to all of you guys that on the live feed that if you need to understand emulsion and how it all reacts, I actually have all of the darkroom equipment.
You do, don't you?
I do.
So you're going to do a workshop?
I can, because I really firmly believe that just like when you're shooting birth, you can't effectively and accurately shoot a birth unless you truly understand the physiological process of shooting of women giving birth. It's the same thing with prints. You can't effectively sell
until you do it,
until you understand how the print works, the paper works. And so if any of you guys want to come to my house and have a darkroom party, we can do that too. And then we can go through and look at the, the Ilford and like the old...
Yeah, the old school printing. And that's really healthy.
School. It is.
It's like it connects you with how it all works.
Right.
And it certainly puts the idea of how much easier digital is in your head, because digital printing is much easier, but it still gives you the understanding of a lot of the basics of Photoshop, where these tools came from. So yeah, I'd recommend it.
Yeah, awesome. And I think that was kind of everything. So I'm actually going to be getting Kate and Paul a couple of my images to put on these, and then we're going to be shipping these out to you guys.
So we're going to make a full set for everybody.
Yep.
That has the different paper types with one of Lacey's images, so it'll be kind of representative, and it's the same image, so you can compare apples with apples.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Paul.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Did anyone on the live have any questions? Peter, you still with us? If there's no questions, actually, I want to show you guys the
Oh yeah, please.
Yes.
Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pack up here and we'll bring the stuff down for you, okay?
Okay.
So these lovely people at this place.
I'm just going to turn you guys around. Oh, this place is awesome. Look. Oh. So, it's going to be kind of loud, so you may not be able to hear me, and that's okay.
I do not understand.
But
I mean, I had kids young.
You can't really understand the quality until you just see it and look at it and touch it. So this is a new product. It's still not named quite yet, but there's no glass, and it's quite stunning. Quite stunning. This is the sample packages that you guys will be getting. Their albums and their boxes.
They're adorable. And like whole body is just wrapped in like in horror. I don't know, baby. Hello.
Tickling my toes. Yeah. So this is the handmade paper. So Kate and Paul actually hand make these. And these are the USB cases that they've got, and you can engrave them. These are the smaller versions of what I sell to my clients. So they are making these smaller now, which is quite exciting. And this is the brass box that I'm going to be offering very soon.
It's the best. And then with the babies, there's a whole with the sort of arches their back a little bit and scooches their bum.
Yeah.
Like hard enough their head does this, right? And it's like every time it's like clockwork. They're just out. So
here's those beautiful.
Have another human being. It's just amazing.
You can get them without.
I was actually the wrangler when they.
So now they've got these in smaller sizes as well, which is exciting. The circle prints. Yeah.
There's something I'm trying to be polite.
Kate Atkins. I think we missed Kate last time.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I'm terrified of all things.
All things.
Hello.
Oh, yes. So this is Kate. Kate was the gorgeous woman who hand dyed all of my silks for me.
That's right. I did the rainbow silk. Rainbow silk forever.
Yeah. Yes.
This is the most fun.
Yes.
Was
please,
it?
more custom silk. More custom silk. It was so much fun. I loved it. I loved it.
So thanks, guys. I just wanted to give you guys a look and explain everything about paper, and if you have any questions, shoot it down in the comments and I'll get back to you. And if anybody is keen on having a film party, hit me up. See you soon, guys. Bye.